inspection. Let's all take a moment and review the draft that's available. Other questions about the draft minutes in the packet?
Mr. Speaker,
Yes, you're recognized, Doug Householder.
I believe that I was present for the October 7th meeting.
The chair notes as a correction, Doug Householder was present for the meeting. So let's go ahead and make that correction to the minutes. Are there other corrections to the draft? If not, chair recognizes the president.
Mr. Speaker, I move the minutes from October 17, 2023 as amended be approved.
Questions on the president's motion that the draft minutes of the October 17, 2023 meeting of the committee be approved as amended? Is there discussion on the motion? Not those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. Motion, please say no. The ayes have it. That motion is adopted. The draft minutes are approved as amended. Let's jump right into it. Our first report today is our financial report. Mr. Bucco. Second.
He's not on.
Let's let them do. Modern. Here.
Did he join the meeting with the link I sent, or is he trying to watch it as a viewer?
Did he join the meeting with the link that he's on?
Going on. It's dark.
Mark? You're on my cell phone.
On your cell phone,
Well, you're right next to the microphone, Mark.
okay. Sorry about the technicalities. For some reason, it's not allowing me to launch. I apologize. If folks can hear me, the October collections for general revenue total $390.8 million. Collections were $7.4 million above estimate. They were below last year by 20.7%. On the various major taxes, the sales tax, it collected $125.2 million. That was about $300,000 below estimate, 1.4% ahead of last year. October is the month when we do local tax distributions, and the local sales tax distribution that went on in October was $36.7 million, which was up 8.8% over the prior year. And that had a little bit of an impact on the sales tax numbers. Personal income tax, we collected $189.3 million. That was $9.8 million above estimate, about 12% below last year. But of course, we had the tax cut in place, 21.25% tax cut. So anything less than that tax cut's pretty good. And withholding taxes for the month were down about 11.4% on wages, salary, income. Severance tax showed a negative 37.5 million for the month, which was down about 106.6 million from last year. But in the sales tax, in the severance tax area, we had some local tax distributions and other distributions totaling $93.25 million, which was 31.6 million higher than last year, about 51.3% increase. The biggest of those was the annual oil and gas distribution. That's 10% money that goes back to local governments. It was a record of $73.4 million, up 75.7% from last year. So all local governments saw a big rise in their severance tax take from oil and gas this year. We also had local coal distributions that went out totaling about $11.9 million. And funds went to DEP well plugging fund once a year. That was $6.75 million. So for all that together, the severance tax is actually down about 57.3% from last year. In October, we actually collected $55.8 million in revenue, but basically the 93.25 million of that went out to these distributions that resulted in the negative collection for the month. Corporate income tax doing very well, continues to do well, 26.3 million for the month. That was 37.6% ahead of last year. Insurance premium tax, which generally comes in on a quarterly basis, we collected 26.2 million. That was almost 1.5 million above estimate, 6.2% ahead of last year. And the other big item would be probably interest income. We collected 17 million this year versus 4.5 million last year, up 275%. So for the year to date, we're running 242.2 million above estimate, almost at $1.81 billion in collections. Compared to last year, down about 10.4%. On the individual taxes, the sales tax is doing fairly well. We were 11.9 million above estimate on the sales tax, collected 539.7 million, 4.1% ahead of last year. Personal income tax is doing better than expected. We've collected 796.8 million. That's 121.4 million above estimate, down 3.2% from last year. The severance tax, we've collected a total of on the severance tax, we collected a total of almost $35 million this year versus $341.2 million last year. So that's down 89.8%, or about $306 million from last year. When you add in all the other severance taxes that go to various distributions, we're actually down about 63% from last year. Now, for the official estimate for this year, calls for a negative 66.9%. So we're not far off of that. Just a greater amount of money went to other funds so far this year compared to last year. And I suspect that in future months we will see severance tax meet or exceed estimates for the most part. So we should see better results in future months on the severance tax. Corporate income tax, $152.3 million. That's $86.2 million above estimate, 24.8% ahead of last year. So still continued strong numbers there. On the insurance premium tax, we're running about 900,000 above estimate, 3.9% ahead of last year. Interest income, 58.9 million for the year so far, or actually $74.4 million for the year. We're 58.8 million above estimate, 339% ahead of last year. Of course, we have higher interest rates this year, and we also have more cash invested receiving that interest income, including the personal income tax refund reserve account has $460 million in it, and all interest that's earned on that account gets deposited in the General Revenue Fund. It's General Revenue Fund interest, and that by itself is well over $2 million a month. Moving to the State Road Fund. State Road Fund collections for the month of October totaled $106.9 million. That was $20.8 million above estimate, about 42% ahead of last year. Individual components, the motor fuel tax, we had $62.5 million in collections in October. That was $18.8 million above estimate, 70.4% ahead of last year. Now, the motor fuel tax is always due on the last calendar day of the month. And in October this year, we got money that last year would have been deposited in early November. In fact, after the first couple of days of November this year, collections were only about $2.5 million versus about $21 million last year. So this will kind of level itself out when the November collections come in. Registration fees, $8.7 million for the month. That was 5.8% above last year, but still $2.1 million below estimate. Motor vehicle sales tax, $27.5 million. That was nearly $2 million above estimate, down from last year by about 3.6%. Higher interest rates may slow automobile sales down a little bit, and the other item that's happening in the automobile market is used car prices are beginning to fall a little bit off of some record highs. So if you pay less for a car, the sales tax on that car is going to be a little lower than it otherwise would be. The big item is federal reimbursements. We collected $61.2 million in federal reimbursements in October. That was 7.4% ahead of last year. Year to date on the road fund, total collections $515.1 million. That's $29.5 million above estimate, 11.5% ahead of last year. Motor fuel tax were ahead of estimate by $15.5 million. Of course, we had some accelerated collections in October, so for the most part for the year we're pretty much on estimate. We're actually technically 17.3% ahead of last year, but when the November collections come in, that'll level out a little bit. Registration fees, we've collected $41 million. That's $11 million below estimate and 8.9% below last year. So we still have we have a ways to come back on the registration fees. And on motor vehicle sales tax, $112.5 million in collections. That's about $7 million above estimate and 0.2% ahead of last year. Numbers are generally pretty strong, but they've slowed down in recent months. The other big item would be miscellaneous. Miscellaneous year to date, we have $190.5 million last year. We had $158.7 million in both years. The legislature appropriated $150 million to general revenue to the state road fund, and that $150 million shows up in the miscellaneous receipt category. On the federal reimbursements, year to date, $281.3 million. That's $46.6 million above estimate and 30.7% ahead of last year. And last year was a record year for federal reimbursements. I believe we had federal reimbursements last year of over $600 million, $639.2 million in fiscal year 23, where in past years we would average closer to $400 million in federal reimbursements. So the federal reimbursements are running strong. With that, I'll open up to any questions you might have.
Thank you, Mark. Questions for Mr. Muco? Going once? Going twice? Okay, Mark, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, our financial report was the only item on our agenda today. Is there other business to come for this meeting? I recognize Dr. Summers.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. For the December meeting, I would like to suggest that we ask Medicaid to present to us. It's anticipated they're going to have over $130 million shortfall. We need to understand how they're approaching that and if that's going to be adjusted in the governor's budget. We also don't know about the expanded use population during the pandemic, how many people are going to drop off of that and how much that's going to be. So I think that'd be very beneficial for our budget development.
Okay, the question is on Delegate Summers' request that we add Medicaid to our December agenda. So discussion on the question. Is there any objection to the request? If not, Chair will ask our staff to add that item to our December agenda. Is there other business come for this meeting? Okay, if not, before we entertain a motion to adjourn, I would like to take this opportunity to publicly acknowledge the work of our staff and our sponsors and our team who helped bring our interim meeting to Wheeling this week. I'd like to acknowledge the hospitality of the people here of Ohio County, of Wheeling, and at Oglebay for the reception that we received and the warm hospitality that was shown to all visitors from parts beyond to come here to the Northern Panhandle and see part of our state that far too few of us get to visit on a regular basis. So with that, Chair will entertain a motion from the President.
Mr. Speaker, I move we adjourn.
Question on the motion to adjourn the meeting. Those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. Please say no. The ayes have it. Thanks to all. The meeting is adjourned.
Thank you, Mark.